I'm Ray Myers. Welcome to Craft vs. Cruft. We've got another refactoring challenge, and we're going to do a little something different today. We're going to do an actual refactoring kata. Previously, I've done an obfuscated C donut, which is actually my most popular video on this channel. And then we refactored someone's first project they had ever done. So those weren't things that were deliberately created as refactoring challenges. This is the Gilded Rose refactoring kata, and it is just a magnificent exercise. It is popularized by Emily Bache, though created originally by others. And you'll find some links in the description to that and some of her other work. And I think this exercise is beautiful in just its frustrating realism. The way that code tends to just get muddled up over time if features are just sort of added naively as we go is very conducive of this. So let's go ahead and look at this exercise real quick. This is where you might go if you were finding it. You can choose your language of choice, though it might be a good idea to do it in its original tongue or something closely related. We're going to use Java today. It was originally in C#. So this is the kind of canonical description of it, but the general premise is, as you know, we are a small inn with a prime location in a prominent city ran by a friendly innkeeper named Allison. We also buy and sell only the finest goods. Unfortunately, our goods are constantly degrading in quality as they approach their sell date. We have a system in place that updates our inventory for us. It was developed by a no-nonsense type named Leroy, who has moved on to new adventures. Your task is to add a new feature to our system so that we can begin selling a new category of item. First, the introduction. All items have a sell-in value. All items have a sell-in value, denoting the number of days we have to sell them. All items have a quality, which denotes how valuable they are. At the end of the day, the system lowers both of those values every turn. All right, so that seems pretty simple. But then there's lots of exceptions and special cases here, as you often see in the real world. Like, once the sell-by date is passed, the quality degrades twice as fast. Quality of item can never be negative. Aged brie is a special item that increases in quality the older it gets. The quality of the item is never more than 50. Sulfurous, being a legendary item, neither has to be sold nor decreases in quality. Backstage passes, like aged brie, increase in quality as its sell-in value approaches. Quality increases by 2 when there are 10 days or less, and by 3 when there are 5 days or less, but quality drops to 0 after a concert. We have recently signed a supplier of conjured items. This requires us to update our system. So this is the update we have to make. Conjured items degrade in quality twice as fast as normal items. So there's one more caveat. We cannot alter the item class because it is protected by a goblin. So that sounds really easy, right? Like, as so often things do, we've got all these rules, and then we have to say that now there's conjured items and they degrade in quality twice as fast. So let's take a look at the code. And if you've done a lot of industry coding, you will kind of recognize the conundrum we're in. This is, as I say, frustratingly realistic. Because they're just, kind of special cases within special cases. There's quality being updated in a lot of different places, like up here and way down here. And so it's really kind of confusing to know, well, what do I do in order to, make this one change about, let's see, conjured items degrading in quality twice as fast. Fortunately, the original exercise provides a file with a kind of a regression testing suite, some scenarios, and then how we expect things to progress. And while there aren't targeted unit tests, that give a little better feedback. I've gone ahead and found some and adapted them. And that's if you go to my repo, that is going to already have these unit tests in, or you can create them on your own. That's where a lot of people will start with this exercise, is they'll say, okay, well, first thing we have to do is add these targeted unit tests that directly capture all the existing requirements. That is part of my solution here. I've just done it off camera. And it's basically just one corresponding, that sets up each individual scenario we have here. So I think that's fairly mechanical. There's plenty of literature on how to do that sort of thing if you'd like to learn about it. Before you watch me try to muddle through a solution here, I would highly suggest, taking this exercise, going off and giving it a go yourself. And everyone's going to come up with a little bit different approach here, because what we want to do is, we want to make this code a little more workable. We don't just want to make it like even more complicated than it is in order to solve this. So go off, try it. It's a great exercise. But we're back now, and I will go ahead. So, as I said, I've added unit tests. Let's go ahead and run those. And this text test fixture is doing the kind of end-to-end regression. We can see, if we look at the differences, that it's only failing right now for this conjured item, which we haven't implemented yet. So that's exactly what we expect. And then the other targeted unit tests, they're all passing, except for the conjured one. So I think everything is going well so far. Now, the first thing I see is like this method is definitely, it's too nested, it's too complicated, but also it's too long. The problem is, though, that because the same values are kind of being modified at several points in this, it's very difficult to find a part that you can meaningfully extract. Normally I would just come in, start extract method. I'm not going to get too far with that today. We're going to have to get a little more creative in order to do things. Though I do see at least one level of nesting I can take out. And in my solution, a goal that I'm going to have is to actually have no nesting, because too much nesting is a big thing that's wrong with the existing code. I'm going to say every method is going to nest no more than one level. So if there's an if statement in a method, nothing else can nest inside that. No ifs inside ifs, no ifs inside for loops, one nesting level per method, and it's going to end up being very flat. So we'll see if I'm able to accomplish that, but I believe that can always be done. So I do see, though, one method I can just naively extract here, which is the contents of this loop. So let's just say I want to take this, extract this item into a variable. No, not just that occurrence. Let's do them all. Nice. Because the items don't really relate to each other, you can localize these to only applying to one item. Inline that there. All right, so are we at least no more failing than we were before? We're good. And also, this is just a simple iteration through a list, so I think it'd be more appropriate to do it with a Java 5 style for loop. At very least, there's more advanced things you could do too, but it's not that fancy of a situation. All right, so all the existing requirements are still passing. Commit. So I'm seeing a lot of magic constants here, and that's a thing that's gonna bug me. So I think we might as well start to extract those. And, you know, maybe these should be like item name, age, brie, or whatever. I'm just going to extract them by a trivial name now, and we could always come back and decide on a convention for all of them. Do backstage passes. I didn't replace them all for some reason. All right, we're still in good shape there. Yep. So as we step through this, I'm seeing these guards around. If the quality is greater than 0, we can subtract from it. If it's less than 50, we can increment it. And we're checking that it's less than 50 again, that it's less than 50. And similar thing going on with this, with here and here. So there's a lot of range checking, you know, whenever we decide to decrement the quality. And I think that could be handled in some better ways. There's a couple ways that come to mind. Now remember, we can't give item a special method that says decrement that, you know, encapsulates the range checking, because it because of the requirement, you know, the goblin is stopping us from modifying that one. But we could make another method that that utilizes it. And another thing we could do is we could do all our modification here, and then at the end have a way of, you know, if it's gotten above or below the range, to bring it back in. And I'm not really sure which I like better. If we were in the same room, I would say, like, you know, what do you think? Should we make the, you know, adjust quality method, or should we just add to it, subtract to it in place, and then afterwards bring the range in? But I'm going to try the first one. And I'm going to say that this is like, let's see. This is an adjustment. And that this is adjust quality is what we're doing here. All right, so it's asking me, do I want to do this in other places? Yeah, I think we can do this. We can apply this elsewhere. It didn't catch that this -1 also could be applied in that way, but of course it can. Now, we haven't actually changed anything yet because we haven't done any range checking, but we'll be able to do that because we're doing this. So just you wait. So this would be adjusting the quality by -1. Similarly there. All right, let's make sure that, yeah, things are as good as they were. Now, I claim we can just enforce the logic we know from the requirements that if item.quality plus adjustment is, so this would be like the new quality, right? that if the new quality is less than or equal to 50 and new quality is greater than or equal to 0, if it's in that range, then we can make that adjustment. Otherwise, we will do nothing. And that should be fine. If we want to be totally explicit here, we can even give is invalid range its own name there. Found another one that we missed before. But this one's adjusting it to 0. Well, that's interesting in and of itself, but we'll get to that. So first off, we didn't break it. No, we didn't break it. So now I think the idea is this quality less than 0, check. This quality greater than 0, this quality less than 50, that's no longer needed. Go ahead and inline that variable. And this one as well. Maybe even this one. Let's see, what's all the side effects that occur in here? Adjust quality and adjust quality and adjust quality. So I think we lose that one as well. See, fortunately, we've got very comprehensive automated tests here, so we can be pretty confident here in making these simplifications that aren't all supported by the automated tools. All right, yes, so all the things that are supposed to pass still, and we've removed quite a few of the things that have been complicating this. Let's look at this diff, like move nesting there, like this is great. So remove, or I'd say what we've done here is consolidate bounds checking on quality, something like that. And, you know, we've got a nice little atomic commit there. Now, when it was doing this, it is adjusting the quality, but it's adjusting it like by the negative quality itself. It's setting it to 0. I guess we could use adjust quality for that. You know, it's kind of up to you whether that's a misuse of it. But we've now removed enough complexity that if we wanted to, we could probably justify trying to add the complexity of this conjured item handling. So do we want to keep refactoring before we get to that, or do we want to try and add it now? I go either way. Let's try and add it now and see how difficult it is. And if if it requires, you know, a little too much modification still, then maybe we'll try something different. So recall, what we're trying to do is make conjured items degrade in quality twice as fast as normal items. So how do we know it's a conjured item? Well, it's called conjured manna cake, I guess. Anytime we degrade in quality, if it could be a conjured item, if it's a conjured item, then we want to do that by twice as much. Okay, so this is one place we degrade. This is another place we degrade. So there's 2 places. And this is if it's not aged brie, and if it's not Backstage Pass, and if it's not sulfurous. Okay, and then there's this, if sell-in is over 0, we're degrading at twice the rate. Okay. One thing, what I'm trying to avoid doing here is saying, okay, if it's conjured, degrade in by 2, otherwise degrade by 1, and then doing the same thing here. Like that seems like you got kind of spooky action at a distance. It's easy later to update one and forget to update the other. We kind of got a lot of these patterns here. What if I extract this -1 here and say that there's a degrade rate, and that degrade rate actually is dependent on something, right? For example, if the name is conjured, then degrade rate is 2. Otherwise, it's 1. How would that do for us? Let's try running the tests. Hey, all right, and for the first time, we've got, including the test that didn't include that requirement, we've got a green bar now. So that's really cool. Let's commit right there. So not only have we implemented additional requirement, but this code is significantly, not drastically, because it's still got a pretty long method here, but significantly better. But I promised you that I was going to be able to reduce the nesting level, down to 1 per method, and we've decreased it by a few, but I don't think we've quite gotten nearly there. So let us see what else we can do to go the extra mile here. So I'm seeing aged brie, Backstage Passes, sulfurous. Aged brie, Backstage Passes, sulfurous. These are both being checked, like all 3 of them, in order to determine if we should degrade. So, and perhaps there's a concept here. Like, I guess those are the 3 items that don't degrade, or they, because Backstage Passes, the other 2 don't degrade at all, but Backstage Passes, they go up or they stay the same until they just go to 0. So they don't follow like the normal degradation. So I wonder if you could do something like, if it degrades, right? Does degrade equals, it's not aged brie, and it's not a Backstage Pass. And it's not sulfurous. And then we could say, like, let's take this out then. And say, if it degrades, then we've got this degradation. Otherwise, this is now an if that only has an else. So we can invert it, and I think there may even be a thing there. And see what happened there? It was a not A and not B, and it converted that to A or B. The nots go away, the and becomes an or. You can do that in either direction with ands and ors. That's called De Morgan's law. It's a nice little piece of Boolean logic when you're simplifying code. You can look that up, De Morgan's law. Probably done that manually many a time when modern IDEs could do it for me. Great. So now that's like another if within an if we don't have anymore, right? So we're flattening it. And if it's a Backstage Pass, we already know what it is, so we don't really need this additional check. So I'd say this can move out of there and kind of be its own logic. Let's see if we're still doing good here. All right. Flatten ifs. Now, what has happened here? If it's aged brie or it's Backstage Passes, we increase the quality. And then if it's Backstage Passes, then we do like yet another increase. Well, that I think would be a little simpler if we just had the Backstage Pass handling in one place and the brie handling in one place. Still good? Yep. Okay, Backstage Pass, this still kind of irks me. We got 3 different quality adjusts, and it's like one of them or 2 of them or 3 of them are going to get called, but we can come back to that. So now the point of most nesting, my public enemy number 1 here is this guy. So this is all if sell-in is less than 0. So if it's expired. So maybe we could just do that. We'll see. We'll see. We're passing in the degrade rate. I don't love that. And so if it's not aged brie, we do the normal stuff. Otherwise, we adjust the quality upward. So that's like having the not case be the if and the positive case be the else is a little weird. So I'm going to invert that. But maybe we can just, yeah, let's actually inline this method back, because I want to use this does degrade thing. I want to use a little more. So I think we're not quite ready to extract pieces of this. So what have we got here? We've got if it's not aged brie, because we're in the else, and then if it's not Backstage Passes, and if it's not sulfurous, we're going to degrade. What is that? Well, I recognize that. That's just does degrade again. So we could take all of this and say if does degrade, adjust quality degrade rate. That's pretty intuitive. And then this goes away, and then we can invert this if. There, how are we doing? Great. Yeah, this is starting to look much better. So we've only ever got 2 nesting levels. Oh no, we got 1 with 3. I guess we can cheat. Then it's back to 2 nesting levels. We're doing a lot better, but I'm seeing what they call sometimes synchronized ifs. I've got the same, like if does degrade over here and if does degrade over there. That's that can be confusing. That's a common place where you can introduce bugs if you then, were to change one and forget to change the other. Kind of spooky action at a distance. Let's see. That's like the next thing that's jumping out to me. Something else might be jumping out to you, but I wonder if we can say the degrade rate actually just is what changes here. Do you see what I'm saying? Let me be a little more clear. Let's say we've got an is expired. and I'm moving it before the sell-in was decremented, so this is a little subtle. I think I would have to do that instead. Let's say that I missed it. Let's see if the unit tests catch it. But where am I going with this? Where are you going with this, Ray? Well, we already do the degradation once. Can we do it only once instead of twice and just modify the degrade rate? That's what I'm saying. So, for example, if is expired, double the degrade rate. I don't like that we're, we can't make this final now. I don't like that we're changing the degrade rate, but kind of one thing at a time here. We'll get there. We'll be able to just set it one time, I think. All right, so this is all screwed up. But if we dig into this, I wonder if we'd find that the expiry date's a little messed up. And if we move that, yes. All right. To account for the fact that we're checking it expired before we decrement sell-in and not after, then I think we're still okay. I promised you I'd be able to prevent this degrade rate from getting modified. I'm going to say that this is, something we could just pop into a little method here. And say, let's give this like a base degrade rate, call that, and then we could say if it's expired, then we return 2 times the degrade rate. Otherwise, we return just the base degrade rate unmodified. I like ×2 instead of 2 times. I don't know about you. What about that? So, if you want to use ifs instead of ternaries, that's just fine. But there we go. So now, like, nothing's being modified. Everything's final. What I might be trying to prevent there's no chance that by, like, moving the order of some stuff around later, I'm going to accidentally break it. Are we still good? Yes. So what the heck did we do? How do we describe that? Consolidate degrade rate logic, let's say. Okay, so this is kind of nice. If it degrades, and we've computed a degrade rate and whether it should degrade. If it degrades, then apply the degrade rate. If it's aged debris, then we don't degrade, we improve. If it's backstage passes, we do, our weird backstage pass adjustment. That's now kind of independent of other stuff, I think. Oh, not quite. Let's inline that back. I just saw, oh yeah, there's some other backstage pass stuff here. But I think it's now clear enough how we might apply that, because we've got is expired. So we could do some is expired handling here, right? And keep in mind, the computation is set to be like, we'll know for that throughout the entire method because we're checking against less than 1. So it doesn't matter that we haven't modified the sell-in thing because it's not being checked at this point. So this is a little more independent. We already know it's not aged debris because it's a backstage pass, so no need to carry that part of the if, but this is expired, that is going to be necessary. It is a backstage pass, so if you followed all that, this should be equivalent, I claim, of what was there before, is just to, within this if, check is expired. Great. Now, handle backstage pass update Backstage Pass quality, something like that, just to be consistent with the name of that method, let's say. This now, you know, like I said earlier, I'm not in love with the fact that we've got like several different calls to adjust quality. I think this could be simplified a little in terms of handling these windows in a more intuitive place, these, you know, the sell-in dates and so forth, but it doesn't register high enough that I care anymore because it's all in one place and there's not a lot of nesting. So I'm gonna leave it be for now. Consolidate. Backstage Pass handling. Cool. Checking if it's expired and it's aged brie. There's this special handling here. And that now, like, since there's not extra, you know, kinds of logic and else's and everything that there was before, there's not an automated refactoring there, which there probably should be, but there we go. Good. If it degrades, adjust the quality by the degradation rate. If it's aged brie, we want to adjust the quality, we increase it. If it's a backstage pass, then we do a bunch of specific backstage pass logic to update its quality. If it's anything other than sulfurous, we adjust the sell-in. We could give that kind of a name here, like has sell by date, something like that. Then we decrement the sell by date. If it's expired and it's aged brie, then we adjust the quality by 1. So this is really both some aged brie handling. So to me, these kind of belong together. I don't know what you think, but let's see. We've got like an adjustment, and to me, it's like that that adjustment is either 2 or it's 1. Could be a way of handling that. Still good. And you may be noticing that I'm starting to accelerate, you know? I'm starting to be able to make changes with less and less thought as I reason about this, because this code is just getting more easy to reason about. And that's the thing about refactoring, you know, is if you're doing it well, if you're doing it in a way that like really enhances, you know, the conceptual obviousness of the code, the simplicity of it, then you start to get those returns back very quickly. So now, you know, I can rearrange these any which way, whereas before the code was very order independent. So just to make the point, I'm just going to like scramble the order of all this, right? And I think that the test should still pass. Yeah. Whereas before you wouldn't have been able to do that. So like this is much easier to work with now. And I don't even intend to do that change. So I'm just going to blow that away, bring it back. So look at this. We've got, you know, you could quibble about like, should we, you know, there's 20 lines. Should we extract a few things here and there? Because they don't depend on each other anymore, we could extract pretty much all we want. The longest method is, you know, around 20 lines. We could probably get that down. But I think this is pretty good right now. I'm pretty happy with this. And as promised, we were able to get the nesting level of every single method down to just one. And if you want to quibble, you know, we've got kind of a hidden if in an if with this ternary inside of an if, but it should be pretty clear that we could extract method ourselves out of that conundrum if we wanted to. So I think this is very flat, and this is very maintainable. It's not you know, there's any number of other ways you can create abstractions that you might like better, but I'm pretty good with this. So thank you for tuning in. Let me know what other kinds of refactoring exercises and other industry topics you'd like to see covered. And if you've got a particularly interesting solution of gilded rows as well, leave a comment. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. It also lets me know the people want to see more, so that's very good to hear always. And remember what Lao Tzu said in the Tao Te Ching, with patience, the most tangled cord may be undone. Thank you.